Okay. I had a customer on the fence the other day about trading in their car, and we kind of got lost in a sort of a funny rabbit hole of hypotheticals of sell it on Craigslist or elsewhere instead. I've actually been exposed over the years to tons of horror stories on selling private party in the hopes of getting a little bit more cash out of the vehicle, but the hassle wound up being very real and not worth it. And so, if you're like most people, you probably dread the thought of having to deal with selling your car in the first place. And it seems like a hassle where you can easily get ripped off or things can go super sideways. And unfortunately, it's definitely true that there are things that can go sideways when selling your car on Craigslist or similar platforms. We came up with 10 of them if you're thinking about selling your car online that you should make sure you should consider before washing your hands of it and just trading it in. But one of the funny stories is phone calls at all hours where some weirdo is just blowing up your phone over and over and over with like no appreciation for the fact that not everybody is up at 2 o'clock in the morning and it's day and night and it's hard to ignore them and it's interrupting and you can take down the ad and it still happens. Along that lines, people have had bad experiences where people are soliciting you for more than just the car, trying to get a date, personal information, all kinds of kookaniness where they're hitting on you. Or otherwise be inappropriate. I've seen stories where it gets even worse with inappropriate pictures attached to that messaging because it's frustrating when, like, okay, I'm just trying to sell my car online. I'm not really looking at exploring that. And it's a waste of your time and it's obnoxious. And then speaking of wasting times, we came up with super lowball offers because when somebody, you post it for $20,000, a reasonable market-based price, and then somebody comes at you and it's like, I'll give you 14,000 and I'll buy it today. And people seem to think that they can get away with offering less and playing money games and being silly because they don't have to see you in person. They don't have to have that engagement. So they just feel very presumptuous on that front. It's also the discourtesy that comes with it, like the people who vanish in thin air. So, there's nothing more frustrating to have everything fleshed out, worked out, everything considered, and terms, and then poof, they just vanish in thin air. And you're left wondering what in the world happened and where did they go, and having to start all the way from the top of the process. There's the other side to that too. I remember a horror story. Fortunately, this wasn't somebody I knew personally, but the people who materialize out of nowhere and show up out of thin air. I read a story once about a gal who had posted her address as the meetup because the person had been very, polite and easy to get along with in their transactions. And they said, oh, come on over. But instead of meeting at the public place, they came to their home. That person kept coming to their home and it was like, ugh. And I guess that's like the most grand expression of like entitled behavior, but entitled behavior is definitely a risk of selling your vehicle online. People try to haggle, they make things more difficult, they have unreasonable demands. Hey, can you drive it to me? Hey, can you take it to me? Just stuff that no normal person would ask of their friend, let alone a perfect stranger who happens to be selling their car. Along that vein, you wouldn't ask your friend to loan you your car for 4 hours and vanish into thin air, but there was a story about that happening where somebody handed over the keys for a, hey, I'll take it for a spin around the block, and the person just drives off in their car for 5 hours. They don't know what to do. They finally reported stolen right as got in the process right as the person came back up, and totally indifferent. So stuff like that, it's a big hassle that you don't want to deal with. And on top of that, there is the potential for just a normal test drive to result in an accident. Implications for insurance, the logistics, the hassles that come with it, as opposed to dealership liability insurance, right? And then the big one is the scams, the passing of bad checks, where they'll cut you a gigantic check, write it for over the amount. Sure enough, it doesn't clear. You're out a car. You're also out the money. It's just a headache and a hassle. So as you can, it's a thought exercise, I suppose. There are plenty of things that can and do go wrong with selling your car private party on Craigslist, and be prepared to deal with whatever comes up. Perhaps as you factor in also between trade-in value and the tax credit that you get when you trade in a vehicle, it might just make things a little bit easier to go through the process, sign on the dotted line, drive off in a brand new car, and not have to deal with a single Craigslist weirdo throughout the rest of the process. Good luck, happy shopping, and if you choose to do so, happy selling.